Hey, welcome back to another fitness episode with me, Louis Hickson. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Today, I want to cover something which a lot of people have asked me during my fitness career, which is whether they should bulk, put on muscle, or whether they should lose body fat first. Which one would be best to do first, one before the other? Now, obviously, if you are a big fat fuck and you're obese and you're overweight, then you know, and your doctors know, that clearly you should be looking to cut down. If you are skinny, very, very skinny, a hard gainer, and you struggle to put on weight and muscle, then clearly you know that you should be trying to bulk. Now, for the majority of people out there who want to know this answer, and the people who've asked me have usually fallen under the category which is known as skinny fat. Now, if you are skinny fat, then it means you haven't really got enough muscle because you're quite skinny, but you've still got a little bit of fat in the areas like the waistline, the stomach, where the chest is. If you're wearing a t-shirt, you might look slim on the outside and skinny to your friends, but underneath, you know deep down, you've got a little bit of stubborn fat in problem areas. Now, if this is you and you have a skinny fat physique, then you fall under the majority of people that have been asking me to give them an answer on whether they should bulk or lose body fat first. Now, if you're a skinny fat beginner, then that would mean that you haven't been going to the gym at all, you don't know how to train, and you don't know how to eat properly. And also that means if you were to start going to the gym and you were to start to just eat a little bit cleaner and track your calories, you would already see some amazing results and probably build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, because it's a shock to your body and you would start to get what we call newbie gains, or what's known as body recomposition. Now, this rarely happens. The only people that this would happen for, like I said, would be complete novices in the gym, complete newbies who haven't lifted a dumbbell in their whole life. And as soon as you go into the gym, for the first year, you could get up to about 15 pounds of new lean muscle and probably lose body fat at the same time. Now, you could also say that you're experienced, but you are still skinny fat and you've been going to the gym for maybe 10, 20 years, but if you're still skinny fat after a number of years, I don't care how long you've been going to the gym for, if your physique is shit and your results do not show that you've been going to the gym for years, then clearly you don't know how to lift weights or train correctly, and you don't know how to eat and or track calories correctly as well. Maybe as well, a small percentage of people watching this video might be in pretty good shape already. So if you have a good amount of muscle mass, you've been training, you know how to lift weights properly, track calories, etc., but you just don't know whether to cut down or carry on building muscle because, for example, you might be going away in the summer, but you don't know whether to do a complete kind of competition prep shred for the next 6 months until you go away. My advice would be that would only be worth it if you are doing something like either a competition or a big photo shoot. It's not worth, if you were trying to put on muscle and then sacrificing being in a bulk, being happy, having good calories just for a 2-week holiday. So if you are going away in like 6 months, for example, and you're in pretty good shape now, then what you should do is do a clean bulk for the next 3 months, and then maybe for the next 6 to 8 weeks do a mini cut. But if you are going away in a month's time or something like that, I would say if you're in pretty good shape already, just carry on trying to increase your lifts, try and put on more muscle mass, and maybe do more cardio, maybe a few hours a week, just to keep the body fat percentage down. And the more muscle mass you have, you don't look as flat anyway. You look better. Yeah, you might not be completely ripped as you'd like to be. But as long as you do a clean bulk, you're lifting heavy weights properly, you will be able to keep your body fat percentage down and look good at the same time. Now I want to throw some truth bombs at you, okay? I'm going to tell you some reasons why you are skinny fat. So reason number one would be that you were an ectomorph and you were so skinny in the past that you thought, right, it's time to put on some muscle mass. But basically you're dirty bulked, you were in a calorie surplus, but you were just eating loads of shit just to try and put on more muscle mass, and you weren't eating enough protein or tracking your calories. And then because you're skinny by nature, you still look skinny-ish, but now you've got fat in areas where you really don't want them. The second truth bomb why you're skinny fat would be that basically you're skinny by nature and you don't know how to lift or train properly and you just eat shit. I would also say another reason would be that the opposite to being skinny, in the past you were really overweight, maybe obese, so you decided, right, it's time to jump on the Weight Watchers bandwagon, it's time to not eat food for some days of the week, it's time to go on a psychopathic diet and just eat lettuce every day, restrict your calories to a ridiculous level, and now you have lost a lot of body fat, but in the process, you've also lost a lot of muscle mass. Okay, so now I want to talk about how you can fix being skinny fat, because there is a solution, I'm pleased to tell you. But first we have to establish if you are a complete newbie, like you've never been in the gym before, you don't know how to eat properly by tracking calories or tracking your macros, you don't even know what a macro is, you think it's something to do with science. So if that's you, and you have a skinny fat physique, then I'm pleased to tell you, by just walking into the gym, lifting some weights, even if it's incorrectly, which I wouldn't recommend, but even if you do some exercise in the gym and you start to clean your diet up a little bit just by eating correctly, you will be able to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. Jesus, I wish that I could do that, but not anymore. So if you're a newbie, good news, you'll be able to build muscle and lose body fat just by cleaning up your diet and lifting some weights. So just concentrate on getting in the gym. So within your first year of lifting, you could make some incredible gains and be able to lose a lot of body fat in the process, because it's a shock to your body because you're not used to doing it. This is also known as body recomposition, which I will talk about in more detail in another video. So let's get on to the next question: how to fix skinny fat if you are a intermediate. I would actually call it an advanced beginner, because you are still a beginner even if you've been going to the gym and lifting weights for a number of years. Because you've been going to the gym and lifting weights for a number of years, that doesn't mean that you know how to train properly. You might have been going to the gym for a number of years, but been doing crazy workouts for 2 to 3 hours. Just because you're dripping in sweat doesn't mean you are working the muscles that you're supposed to be correctly. So it's not how long you've been training for that tells me that you know what you're doing. It's the physique that you have and the results to prove it. I don't care how long you've been training for. You're probably also doing one of these two things, which is either possibly tracking your calories, but if you're dirty bulking, which means just eating what you like every day, you don't really need to track your calories because you know you're in a calorie surplus. And that means that because you think you're in a calorie surplus, that's okay, because you should be able to build muscle mass, because you've heard by eating more calories than what your maintenance calories are for the day, you will suddenly put on this great amount of lean muscle mass. But that's not the case, because you've probably been in a calorie surplus, eating foods that are high in starchy carbs, eating foods that are high in fats, sugars, and all kinds of shit that will grow you 3 big dicks or tits if you're a woman. Okay, rant over. And you're probably, or most definitely, not eating enough protein, because again, just because you're in a calorie surplus, you're dirty bulking, eating all starchy foods full of sugars, fats, to try and build more muscle. you're missing out the key fuel and macronutrient for building muscle, which is protein. So you need to eat an adequate amount of protein throughout the day for muscle growth. Another scenario might be you know how to eat correctly, you know how to track your calories, but that skinny fat is still there. It just won't go away. Well, the likelihood is the reason for this is because you don't know how to train properly, like I keep saying. Now, you might know the correct exercises that are going to work certain muscle groups. You might know a bench press is going to be a good exercise to work the chest. You might know a bicep curl is going to be a good exercise to work the biceps, but you are not working those muscles through the correct range of motion. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, if I've got a weight here and I'm doing a bicep curl, but that weight's a bit too heavy, I'm going to try and ego lift. You know, there's girls watching, I've got to lift this weight. So I'm going to try and do a bicep curl like this. Yes, it might be working the biceps slightly, but the main muscles that are helping me get this weight up are actually the muscles that are in my back, you know, thrusting my hips forward. When really you want to help to stretch and lengthen that muscle and contract like this. That's just one type of example. You know, you need to stop trying to lift big heavy weights, you know, and work those muscles correctly. And you also need to have a basic understanding of rep ranges, sets, rest time, and follow a workout program, because the only way to progress and build more muscle is you need to be able to progressively overload, which can be adding more sets or reps each week or adding more weight. Now, I did do another video about this, which is called Programming for Muscle Growth, How and Why. I'm going to put the link to that in this video. So you also need to follow a pretty good workout program as well. Now, you may or may not have noticed that I've changed my attire. Now, before I carry on, I'm going to make the light a bit better because it's getting dark. I need to go to the gym. Got to practice what you preach. Right, so the answer is, which one should you do first, cut or bulk? I would say if you're above 15% body fat as a man or 25% body fat as a woman, you should definitely consider cutting if you look like these photos. Right, well, first we had a clothing change, and now we've had a lighting change because you can't beat nature. It's getting dark outside, but we're going to crack on anyway. So skinny fat people who need to cut, I would say do not need to cut for any longer than 6 to 8 weeks. Now, unless you're really overweight and it's affecting your health, you need to do it for longer than that. 6 to 8 weeks should be enough time, because you've only got a little bit of fat in stubborn areas, and after that amount of time, your body will start to have cravings by then, especially if you're cutting correctly, where you're lifting heavy weights at least 3 times a week, you're drinking enough water, you're tracking your calories and your macros, you're getting enough protein in at the same time. Then, you know, again, like I said, cravings, you know, you'll be calorie restricted, so you'll be very tired, and your muscles will be just craving for more glycogen or more starchy foods that you might have missed out on at that time. And because you're in a calorie deficit for so long, you know, it's now probably the right time to then start a clean bulk. So if you come under the definition of skinny fat and you're below 15% body fat for a man and you're below 25% for a woman, then you are lucky enough to be in a clean bulk and feel good, because your performance in the gym is going to increase, your lifts are going to increase, and you'll just feel better all round. Now, the difference between a clean bulk and a dirty bulk is a clean bulk, you're in a calorie surplus, but you're not way over exceeding your daily maintenance calories. For example, if your calories for maintenance to maintain your physique without gaining or losing weight is 3,000 calories a day, you should just maybe bump that up to start with, maybe 200, 300 calories more per day, 3,300, and that would be enough and sufficient to start a clean bulk. But at the same time, you're not just eating any old shit, because when you're in a clean bulk, you're keeping healthy at the same time, you're eating an adequate amount of protein, carbohydrates and fats for your body, and maybe every now and again you might have a cheat meal. Now the other type of bulk you can do, but I would rarely recommend it, is something called a dirty bulk. Now the only types of people that I would recommend doing a dirty bulk would be people who are what we would call hard gainers, so people who really struggle to put on size and muscle mass and they just need the calories. Now the problem with dirty bulking is it can be very bad for your health, because as long as you're in a calorie surplus, you will eat whatever food you can to make up them calories, because you think as your strength and your lifts might increase because you're getting lots of energy from all the shitty foods that you've been eating, you think at the same time you're building quality muscle, but at the same time you're gonna pack on a hell of a lot of fat, because as well as eating any types of food you like, you are also way over exceeding your daily calories. So unlike a clean bulk where you're only eating 200, 300 over your maintenance, you are now probably eating 600 to 800 calories over your maintenance calories every day on a dirty bulk. And it can also be pretty bad for your testosterone levels, because they can drop as the more fat you gain. Now, that's probably not a good idea, especially if you're a male man who's trying to build more muscle. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I do truly appreciate everyone who does watch these videos and everyone who's subscribed so far. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and click that notification bell to get notified of more of these videos. And whoa, look at that delt. That's from holding tripods all day. Anyway, see you next time. Thanks.